Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the No Laying Up podcast. My name is Randy. I am joined today by Cody McBride, my good friend, my associate, and we are here on Tuesday. It is a couple days before the final official event of the 2025 LPGA season. So, what better way to get ready for that than to preview the CME Tour Championship? So, first, Cody, welcome. What's going on, brother?
I'm excited. We are at the end. I feel like we tied the
It's a
bow on
long
the PGA
season.
Tour calendar. We're tying the bow here this week, and then we got some LET action the next couple of weeks. But then we can go back, check our predictions, big, see how right, how wrong we were on a lot of things. But I'm excited, man.
Well, good, good. Yeah, it's been I mean we joke it is a long year. They played tournaments in what 11 of the 12 months on the calendar, official tournaments. It stretches out a while. I think we're recording before the 2026 schedule has been released, but certainly a lot to look forward to there. I believe that is coming out Wednesday. And like you said, we're going to come back sometime after the Tour Championship to do a season wrap episode where we'll dive into a lot more. But today's episode is mainly going to be focused on the CME. We're going to talk about some of the last women into the field this week. Of course, it's the top 60 in the season long standings. We're going to discuss some names that did not qualify, maybe
Mm.
who surprises us most. We're going to check in on the awards. I got a little trivia for you, Cody. And then we're going to look ahead a little bit. We do know a couple nuggets on 2026, including an exciting announcement just this morning concerning the broadcasts and how those might look different next year. So, a nice show here. Before we dive in, though, let's thank our good friends at Titleist, the sponsors of today's episode. Cody, what do we have from them?
That's right, big. Lynn Grant won her second LPGA title this week, hitting a field best 89% of greens in regulation with her Titleist Pro V1 golf ball. Lynn has been playing a Titleist golf ball for over a decade, and one of the biggest reasons why is trust. In her words, she loves the consistency of her Pro V1 across different playing conditions, and she never has any doubts that it will perform exactly how she expects every time, no matter the situation. That inherent trust is a result of Titleist's commitment to designing and manufacturing the best performing and most consistent golf balls in the game. Every Titleist golf ball is designed by Titleist R&D and manufactured at Titleist facilities to the tightest tolerances and strictest quality standards. And that consistency that comes to that process is a big part of why 72% of the golf balls played on the LPGA Tour this year have been a Titleist. Not to mention the 77% of the U.S. Women's Am and 88% at the NCAA Division I Women's Championship. To find out which golf ball is right for your game, head to Titleist.com. And by the way, if you want a cool look inside the golf ball manufacturing process, go check out the video that we put out. DJ Neil, Influencer Tour,
The
Northeast
influencer
Edition.
boys.
Come on, go check it out. It's up on our YouTube now. Thanks to Titleist. And let's get into it.
All right. Well, very good. Thank you, of course, to Titleist. And yeah, Cody, let's just jump into it. The CME Tour Championship. So, just as a quick refresher, logistically, this is the top 60 women in the season long standings are in the field this week in Naples, Florida. And unlike, well, I guess like the PGA Tour this year, but all 60 women have an equal shot to win the $4 million first prize check. It's an $11 million total purse. So this is one of the biggest paydays on the calendar for the women. Coverage for this week is across four different platforms, and stay tuned here because I think this is what we're going to get into when later in the show we talk about next year. But from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern on Thursday and Friday, it's on Golf Channel. From 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, it's on CNBC. And then 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern, it's on NBC. And then plus, we should note there's going to be ESPN Plus featured group coverage all 4 days. So Be sure to check out the telecast. Gino Titicum is your defending champion. And Cody, this tournament, it kind of took me by surprise as I was looking back over the last several years, but this really is a birdie fest. I mean, Gino won last year at 22 under par. The last four winners of this event, their average score to par is 22 and a half under par. So definitely look for a ton of birdies, and it's just going to be who can take it the lowest this week, I think.
It's yep, you got to get on the horse right away. A lot of putts need to be made down at Old Tiburon, but big it is. Terry Duffy season. Of course, that's the
That's
CEO
right.
of
That's right.
CME. We got a big dinner. Remember a couple years ago, that's the big hubbub of people not showing up to the sponsors dinner
Of
and the
course.
chaos that caused. Can't have that happen again. I will say this. Massive purse, right? $11 million, $4 million to the winner. That purse has remained the same since 2023. And that is very rare when you look at the totality of the LPGA calendar and how much Terry Duffy and CME does. So you got to keep an eye on that. It's a great purse. I'm just shocked that there isn't some sort of incremental, stair stepping that we have going on here.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point. I mean, honestly, it might be like we can increase it. I don't know what the appetite is to increase the purse from Terry Duffy and the folks at CME, but it's like you can't really get bigger than the majors right now, so they might be up against a bit of a ceiling as it is. But
The
yeah,
only I agree with that thought process. The only thing that I'll add to it is when FM came in with the FM championship and their purse is like 4.1, 4.2 for a regular season event. And that kind of sits it kind of makes this event look a little bit silly. Now I understand, it's the larger purse is only paying out to 60 people. And everybody's getting a minimum as it is anyway, just for qualifying for the CME championship. But I don't know, something to keep your eye on.
well, let's dive into the field. And I think to do that, maybe we put a bit of a bow on last week's tournament, the Annika, which was played at Pelican Country Club up around Tampa, presented by Game. It's one of those tournaments with like four different names. Nice. Nice win for our girl Lynn Grant. I feel like we've been waiting for that follow up LPGA victory for a long time from her. It's her second LPGA victory. Anything as far as Lynn Grant, and then we did have some player movement. We had three players qualify last weekend that got into this weekend's CME by the skin of their teeth. Cody, where would you like to start here?
First of all, it's just dawning on me. I'm kind of battling some. So people who are watching on the podcast channel, this of course not just an audio only feed. You can go check it out on the No Laying Up podcast channel if you like a video option. My camera's a little glitchy, so I'm battling through it. We're almost to
Hate
the
that.
end of the season. We're making it happen. Audio should be great though. But man, this is the Lynn Grant that we believe that we should see week in and week out on the LPGA tour. And it's so awesome when she has that look in her eyes. She's such a fierce, like, competitor. She played such good golf to end up with a three-shot lead, beat Jen Kupcho, but, like, literally made 0 mistakes, was just rock solid, and it made the broadcast for people who did turn in. It was one of the rare occasions where I thought that the NBC Golf Channel team was really firing on all cylinders, which is surprising because the winner was, after 9, Jen or Lynn opened up this three-shot lead, and the tournament was almost done, but there was so much drama going on between really 3 players, Natalia, Lucy, and like the top 60, and the broadcast did an awesome job of amplifying that and talking through moves and showing emotion. We saw so much emotion from Lucy coming up 18 and just trying to hold on to it. Natalia hitting a horrible drive on 18, finding a bunker, have to lay up and really, like, had to make par. Bogey would have maybe got her to that line, but definitely a par. There was actual ramifications for the shots that you had out there. and the telecast absolutely capitalized on it. So I was excited, and I'm happy that the finish is what we're talking about coming off of Pelican, because going into the week, there was a lot of pro-am talk and Caitlin and Kai and all this other stuff that we thought was kind of overshadow the event that didn't end up happening at all.
Well, all right, a lot there. Let's drill in for a second on Lynn Grant. And you're right. We have not been shy, and we've been very bullish on Lynn. I think we all enjoy watching her play golf. Nice to see her put together a fantastic week, 4 rounds. But I guess my question is, you mentioned like this is the Lynn we want to see week to week. And as you were saying that, it just popped into my head like, do you think it's possible for her to harness this week to week, or is she just gonna be a bit inconsistent? I just get the feeling we keep waiting for her to have that consistent greatness. I'll say, not, and I don't know. Greatness isn't the right word. Just consistently a top 10 type player in the world, right? Because I think that's what her talent level is. I guess, Cody, do you feel good about her being able to harness this and really be this player week to week? Or is that, is it like, hey, we're just expecting something that she's never going to be?
I think she can get there. I think with Lynn, it is an evolving process of her being comfortable traveling and being a full-time professional on the LPGA tour. And I think we've seen a couple different iterations of her. And you got to understand, like, her career started out as a professional very, very weird. She went to Q school, qualified right out of Arizona State, and then COVID happened. And because she wasn't vaccinated, she couldn't play her full first season. And then that turned into like the next season. And
Yeah.
then,
So
all the
so folks know really 2023 was her first full LPGA season. So, she is wrapping just her third LPGA full season.
in 2022, she had her LPGA Tour card, but because of travel restrictions, she was only able to play co-sanctioned LPGA events that were basically everywhere else outside of North America. And she maintained her card from only playing like 5 or 6 events that year. She played so good there, and obviously she played full time on the LET. She won a couple times there, and it's just been this evolving thing of like, how's she going to be comfortable out here traveling, because she's such a creature from home. She loves being home. She loves Sweden. And the travel and the amount of time that they spend on the road is a lot. But I think where she's at now, she's had her boyfriend, Pontius, on her bag. He's been caddying for her full time now for pretty much since early summer on. And I think you've seen her slowly start to be more comfortable in it, because so far, at least this year, is very much boom or bust. She missed a lot of cuts. And when she would make a cut, you're almost guaranteeing a top 20 finish. Outside of that, like her highest finish was a T65 in Boston at the FM Championship. But it was just fire and ice, really, to start. You know, she had a really great start with that solo third at Hilton to start the year going, and then really stumbled trying to get her feet underneath her. But it's just one of those things where it's like she's trying to get comfortable, and not so much comfortable on the golf course, but comfortable on the road. And
Mm.
it's I think it's fascinating to see from an outside perspective of somebody who's like, she's still pretty young, trying to figure out their legs as a professional.
And I'll say this being the third time that she has played the Annika, it's a course and a tournament that has suited her very well. She's gone T15, T5, and now a win. So definitely a place that she enjoys. Just looking at her statistical profile this year, her putting is an area that kind of jumps out at first glance. She's given a half a shot away per round in strokes gained putting. And I think the other area, Cody, that has just not maybe materialized as much as I would have expected would be her approach play, her iron play, and even her performance off the tee has dipped a little bit since that 2023, her first season on the LPGA Tour. So I'm with you. It's like she has the tools, I think, to be that top 10 type player. It seems like there's just going to need to be some refinement and a lot of work to just be more consistent week to week, round to round. And like you said, it's going to be very exciting to see these next couple of years because I think at least relative to the hype and expectation that I had for her, I would probably say the last couple of years have been a bit disappointing. But I could also see her, peeling off 2, 3 wins the next couple years each. She just has that ability. So, yeah, I don't know what is in store for Lynn, but I think women's golf is a lot better when she's playing well and she can be in contention.
I agree. She has so much horsepower in that engine of hers. It's truly just about trying to figure out how to hit these little finesse shots. I walked with her this year for a round at the AIG Women's Open, and she hits it a long ways off the tee. She misses fairways, which is fine because she doesn't really get herself in too much trouble. But her approach play, what you're talking about, and her ball striking, because she like is hitting full out shots a lot of the times, she would be flying greens. She would hit high spinny shots that would get caught up in the wind. You're just like, that's where you need to figure out what's going on. And then when you got a balky putter, sometimes like it takes a lot. You can't have too many gaps in the game, but she
Yeah.
works as hard at it as anybody else is. Like I think that again, we put lofty expectations on everyone that's coming out that has a solid
Everyone
amateur
that
and
we're excited about.
in
Yeah.
college career, but you know, I'm right there with you. If I said this after the U.S. Women's Open, if you told me that Maya was going to win a major before Lynn, I would have laughed. But
Yeah.
that does
Yeah.
not mean that I do not believe that Lynn is going to have more major championships under her belt than Maya will when things are done.
You mentioned a bit Natalia Guseva, Lucy Lee. They were two of the three women, along with Brooke Matthews, that played their way into the CME last week at the Annika. And unfortunately, losing their top 60 ranking were Jenny Shin, Cassie Porter, and Wei Ling Su. Tough for Jenny Shin. She was kind of right around that top 60 for most of the year. I feel like certainly this back half of the year. But I love, it's wonderful to see Lucy Lee play her way in, and Brooke Matthews. She wins the hole in one. She gets a 2-year lease of a Lamborghini, which is a bit crazy. And yeah, I think Guseva is a name that probably people aren't very familiar with. She has not won yet, but she is somebody that's just been playing consistently better golf over the last, honestly, almost the last 2 years, and to see that kind of pay off with a berth into the Tour Championship, certainly a feather in her cap.
Yeah, she's really good and still very, very young for being this her second or third year, something like that, full time on the LPGA tour. Awesome to see her battling it out. And like I said, like just needed par, really bogey would have been fine on 18 to get it. Um, I still don't know really like I hope that there's an evolution in in the geopolitical space that at some point in time, like she can be more open about like her story and everything. Obviously, she's from Russia. She cannot fly the Russian flag. I guess in international competitions and to include the LPGA. And her dad is a high ranking official in the Russian military. She came over, played at Florida State, and was only there for a couple years before she bounced and turned professional. But she has this look that like she can go out there and just like dominate when she wants to. I just would I can't wait really to watch the evolution of her game and see how if she's able to kind of put it all together.
Yeah, she was kind of in the doldrums this summer. Missed a bunch of cuts in a row in June and July, and but turned a corner. I honestly starting at the FM Championship late August, and parlayed that into a really nice fall finish. Did not miss a cut here down the stretch, and obviously played her way into the Tour Championship. So just 22 years old. I think she's somebody to certainly keep an eye out for next year, the year after. She seems to be on the come up, absolutely. Um,
She jumped from 64 to 57. And you mentioned Lucy, just an incredible final round, and she was so emotional going through it. She ended up shooting a 66 on Sunday that included 10 putts. She made 23 birdies through the week. Kind of, it always goes back to when we had her on the podcast and we're just like kind of talking about her evolution of the game and, little kid growing up to where she's at now. She feels like she's finally owning that, and I think, it's just little incremental steps. Her getting her card, her rookie year, and trying to figure out everything that's going on, and now retaining her card, and now this year making it to CME, which is a huge step for somebody in their second season. Uh, I love to see it. Ended up jumping from 71st to 58th, and it was just crazy. She was riding with every single shot, and I mentioned the broadcast earlier. They did such a good job of describing and painting the picture and brought you into the story to follow her emotions, uh, along the way.
Congrats to Lucy. Yeah, and I'll just quickly say Brooke Matthews, someone else who had a great finish to the season, a handful of top 15 finishes, a couple top 10s here down the stretch to also really play her way into the Tour Championship. So good on Brooke.
A couple cool little final Pelican notes there. Alexa Pano, not at playing CME this week, but she ended up finishing like T36, and that actually moved her from number 100 on the list to 97 to keep her full status. So she does not have to go back to Q Series. So that's huge for Alexa. And then, you know, no surprise here. I can't believe more people didn't see this coming, but Miyu Yamashita just clinched Rookie of the Year. Uh, didn't really have to do much. Finished 68th, and that's all. That's all done and dusted. I mean, she started the year as the 13th ranked player in the world. Who would have thought that she would have been the Rookie of the Year?
Tongue in cheek there. All right, well, let's move on from the Annika, and let's turn our attention to the CME. And I want to go over some big names that are not qualified for the Tour Championship this year. So big names that are not in the top 60. We have Yuka Sasso, who just had a disaster of a year. I mean, she is not even close. I believe she has lost her game. That is unfortunate. We have Georgia Hall. I talked to her over in Wales earlier this year. She just could not get it going this year. Amy Yang, who won this event a couple years ago, won a major a couple years ago, she has not been able to qualify. Rose Zhang is not in the top 60 this week. And then the other name that's not in the top 60 is Lilia Vu. So, Cody, I guess of those names, or maybe another name, is there one person that I don't know, that you're most disappointed that she didn't make the top 60? Who kind of had the most disappointing season in your mind?
I mean, just going off past results, it's not too long ago that Lilia Vu was it. The she summited the peak, man. And to watch this kind of fall off has been truly crazy to see. And a lot of it's injuries tied in there, but it's one of those things where it feels like Lilia's always hurt, and we don't know why she's sitting out or what the injury actually is. But she just had a disastrous season, and I give her a ton of credit because she battled. She played all through the Asian swing. She came back over and played, Annika trying to make it up for it. So I get she was trying to get points to make it to CME the way that she could have. Georgia, I think, is surprising to me just because, yeah, she didn't make CME. Her Rolex ranking is way down compared to where we usually see her at. But big, she hasn't played an event since AIG.
Hmm. I
And
don't think
it's
I even quite realized that sheepishly. Dang.
yeah. And I don't know if it's, I think her at some point in time, I know her and I think she's getting married soon. I don't really know what's going on. I don't know why, and
Hmm.
maybe that's a good question to ask of where is Georgia? She's
Hmm.
obviously not in Naples this week, but we haven't seen her since July.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm right there with you on, I feel like we've talked about Lilia before, but just everything that she's going through, the back injury and kind of trying to rebuild a golf swing around a back injury and trusting not only that her back won't hurt, but the swing will work. It's just a tough, tough spot for her to be in. Yuka Sasso is the one that's like, I I don't know. I don't know if that's a case of the driver yips, but I mean, she finished 132nd on the CME list this year. And for somebody that's won a couple of US Opens, she's only 24 years old. Just a shocking, shocking loss of form there. So
Yeah.
I
You, you
really hope
know,
she can find it.
I I cannot wait until next spring where we don't have to worry about Rose and college and managing schedules anymore. And I
You
know,
know, and hopefully she's healthy too, because it was like part college, part battling injuries. Just felt like a little bit of a lost year this year for Rose.
I think it's one of those things where it's amazing and great for people to follow what their individual passions are. I just hope it's not at an expense to what she's said that she wants her career to be. And
Mm,
time will only tell on that, but it's just it's a weird year for her overall. And you're right, there's not just college, there's injuries and everything else like that, but man, I just hope we see Rose back.
yeah, yeah. Amen to that for sure. The only other name that I'll throw out that just kind of selfishly disappointed we're not going to see her in Naples this week is the young Spaniard, Julia Lopez Ramirez. She was a rookie this year, 22 years old, hits the ball a long way, and was in decent spot for most of the year to qualify. Had some really good results earlier this year, but just did not do as much as she needed to, especially in this Asian swing, the second Asian swing that was just completed. I felt like she had a good opportunity. No cut events. You're over there. She played four of them, and the best finish she could muster was a tie for 50 in those four events. And just, she just needed one solid week to secure a top 60. As it is, she finishes 68th, but um, you know, not I think I won't call it a great rookie year if you're not in the top 60, but a decent rookie year. And I think somebody that I continue to kind of look towards certainly next year and the years to come as I'm just curious to see how she will grow and mature out here as well.
Yeah, and the last person that's not in this category that I think deserves a shout out, and that's I'm not going to play a full schedule Lexi in the year that kind of evolved for her.
Retired golfer Lexi Thompson has qualified for the Tour Championship.
She's playing in the Tour Championship. She finished the year with 12 starts, 8 cuts made, two top tens, and is firmly teeing it up at CME. Now, I kind of understand what she continues to go back because like I never said that I was retired. I'm just stepping away from doing this, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I got to go back and see how many starts because I'm pretty sure last year she only played in 14 events. This year she played in 12, so she's only. I don't know if her plan is just to shave two a year or what's going on, but Honestly,
Yeah, the LPGA had her for 18 starts in 2024.
okay. Good
So
good call out
she
there.
shaved 6. Yeah.
Well, that is
Um,
something.
yeah, uh, she only made 14 starts in 2023, so she's kind of been around, to your point though, it's not like demonstrably different than where she had been the last couple years. And I know that technically she never used the word retired. The LPGA had a big headline with the word retirement in it for her. Certainly many tournaments put on displays that were would make you think that she was retiring. It's just a little bit of a goofy situation. I don't listen. If she wants to keep playing, that's her prerogative. Good for her. She's obviously playing uh really, really good golf, good enough to get in the tour championship. So I guess at the end of the day, I don't have like a massive problem with it. I just like to need a little bit.
No, for sure. I think that's all part of it. And like it's hard to get past where she's at ranking wise. And I think she had two top tens this year. One of them being at the Meyer, and then the other one where they finished second was at the Dow. And I say they because this is a team event, which they're
Yeah.
getting equal CME points, which is silly to me. So heavily anchored there from her Dow Championship runner-up finish.
Yeah. There are eight LPGA rookies in the top 60 this week. I think they deserve a shout out by name. Jenny Bay had a very good year. The EY twins, Aki and Chisato, have both qualified. Ingrid Lindblad is in the field. Rio Takeda, Miranda Wang, really nice season. The aforementioned Miyu Yamashita, who has won Rookie of the Year, she had a fantastic season. And then Lottie Woad, who burst onto the scene this summer, and thanks to a win and some really good play, she has qualified. So I think eight rookies, Cody. I mean, that's a fairly significant number. I think it speaks to we're seeing just such an influx of talent and new names, and just it really is, I think, an exciting place that the women's game is in as we look out over the next 3, 4, 5 years, and even beyond that.
I agree. Completely agree, big. We can't have
Um,
another. What are the chances of another season like this where we have that many, just
oh
single winners?
my God. Well, keep that in mind. That's gonna come up in the trivia game. I'm gonna ask here in
Mm.
just a second. I did want to ask you though, Cody. I had the thought, we're talking about here the top 60 qualify for the Tour Championship. I wanted to get your thoughts. Is this field too big? Do we need 60? Because part of me, just looking at the rankings, I mean, I think there's a real case to be made that I just you look at, especially in this bucket of like 40 to 60, like these women had good years, right? None of them had great years. And I just the more I kind of sit and think, I think you could convince me that the field for the Tour Championship should be chopped to about, I would say even the top 32, right? Make it a number that kind of makes sense. And then I think there would just be a bit more emphasis on let's reward the people who had very good seasons, and we could kind of cut some that, I who am I gonna pick on here? Uh, I just mentioned her, but Jenny Bay, right? She played 22 events. She did not win. She has 3 top 10s, and that's good for 48th, right? I'm not sure she should qualify for this tournament where if she strings together 4 very good days, she could be walking home with $4 million and be the tour champion. What do you think about that?
Okay, so I like where you're going with this. My only question would be, are you looking at the 32 number based off of a format change or based off of a true rewarding of what the intent of it is?
Well, that was gonna be another question. I know we discuss this every year. I I know where you're going here, right? I think the natural format change would be, you take 32 and is it some sort of match play tournament? The more I thought about that, a couple of things. One, we know the T-Mobile match play event is going off the calendar. So there's no match play event.
Welcome to Aramco, though. We're happy to do business with you.
There's no true match play event on the LPGA schedule that I know of, unless there's going to be one that we don't know about that's announced this week. And I do get back to like we're playing for all this money. I kind of like the idea of going head to head, woman to woman. Like let's see who's best, right? Like let's create a bracket and let's see who is standing at the end. And I think they could reasonably have a claim to like, yeah, that I deserve to be the tour champion and win the $4 million. So I do think you can convince me that like 32 is a nice number for match play. If you want to even take less than that, right? Like 24 and give some of the top finishers, buys, I would certainly listen to that. But I do think I lean that way. Yeah.
Okay, I can meet you there. I think the only concern that I have about it, and it's not even really about the CME, is that as all things when you talk about LPGA and changes, it comes down to their schedule. And the fact that they have so many limited field events all of October, you have one full field event in November at the Pelican, and then that's it. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where, things have to move around in order for that to happen. Because I would say that it's even hard to have one event straight into CME coming off of that long Asian swing, because there's people who take Pelican off. We haven't talked about, Aon Challenge or whatever it is, 100 million, dollars, but like Gino was
$1 million,
leading that.
$1 million,
No, what did I
$100
say?
million
100?
would be unbelievable. Yeah.
Come on, Aon, just throw it out there. Anyway, Gino was leading that. And like, as history has kind of shown, she decided to not play Pelican to protect her lead. And
But she
then,
still got passed.
she ended up getting passed, which
Yeah.
is fine. That's the dice that you roll there. But it's just one of those things where, yes, that would be awesome if we wanted to take CME and reward a proper year-end champion. Cool. Play 32. You can play 32 stroke play. You can play 32 match play. That's fine. The issue is that the LPGA Tour has so many other things attached to this week, whether that's Rolex Awards on
Yeah.
Monday night, and they did something on Tuesday night as well. But um, it's just a lot. And I think what they're comfortable in saying, oh, at least if we get the 60 there, that's going to cover the amount of people that we need to fly in for this Monday night season ending gala as it is, which has nothing to do with competition, right? But
Right.
again, LPGA silliness at times. Not a lot of the decisions have to do with competition.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right in that any changes would have to come with some downstream or upstream changes to the schedule and kind of how that's thought about. But I do think just from purely like competition, I think 60 is too many, especially if it's just a winner take all, everybody starts from the same spot. Um, but hey, the opportunities out there for a lot of these women, it can be truly a life changing week for somebody. So we shall see. Um, Cody, we've kind of touched on awards. Let me just quickly go through those. We mentioned Miyu Yamashita. She has clinched the Luis Suggs Rookie of the Year award. It is an excellent crop of rookies this year, and she stands out among them. Um, she has a shot to win the Player of the Year race. It's down to her and Gino. Miu has to win this weekend. Essentially, if she wins Player of the Year also. If she does not win, no matter if Gino finishes runner up, just the way the math works and the points that you get, Miu has to win Player of the Year. If she does not win, then Gino is going to be your 2025 Player of the Year. We mentioned Jennifer Kupcho. She clinched the $1 million Aon Risk Reward season-long award, I guess. And then the other big one, and this is a big one because it comes with a Hall of Fame point, the VAR trophy. Uh, Currently, Gino leads Nelly Corda, and Nelly would have to go very, very low, and I think Gino would have to have a pretty bad week for Nelly to catch her. So I'm pretty comfortable giving this one to Gino as well. So a chance, even though she's only, and I say only, won twice this year, Gino could be both your Player of the Year and the VAR Trophy winner, which those both come with Hall of Fame points. Cody, with that said, I have 8 trivia questions, and they all kind of pertain to the CME. So let's dive in. Are you ready? I don't think I'm going to embarrass you. I think you're going to get a few. I think you might not get a few, but I think these are all good, and I think they're some good tidbits for the listeners. So, are
Love it.
you are you ready?
I'm ready, Big.
Okay. Well, let's start here with Gino. I just mentioned the VAR trophy for the low scoring average. First question, Gino Titticum's current scoring average coming into this week is 68.88. She is trying to become just the third woman in LPGA history with an official scoring average below 69. Can you name the other 2 women to have completed a season with a scoring average below 69?
Nelly.
Nelly is not one of them, surprisingly.
Okay, I'm not gonna. I have no clue.
So Lydia Ko is the most recent. In 2022, she finished the year at 68.988. So just below that 69 threshold. And then you got to go all the way back to 2002. Annika Sorenstam at 68.7. And I'll note that 68.7, that is the all-time low single season scoring average on the LPGA Tour. And I did a little math. Gino, according to my math, and I got this straight off the LPGA website, so I'm going to throw them under the bus if this is not right. But according to my math, if Gino shoots 25 under or better this week, she'll finish with a slightly lower scoring average than Annika in 2002 and have the lowest season scoring average in LPGA history. And we know 25 under is in play because the average winning score is 22 and a half under par. So something to
Which I
watch
think
out for there.
that's right around what she shot last year too. She was like 21 or
Yeah, she
22
was she
under.
was 22. So she'd have to be a bit better than that this year.
All right, I love it.
All right, second question. We're gonna stay on this subject of Gino and the VAR trophy. So last year in 2024, Gino did not play enough rounds to qualify for the VAR trophy. You have to play like I think 60, it's either 60% of all total rounds or 70. It's she didn't qualify. But she would have had the lowest scoring average. She did win it in 2023. And like I said, she has a great chance to win it in 2025. So the question is, who's the last woman to win the VAR trophy 3 straight years? These are tough ones I'm starting out with. I apologize.
MB ever do it?
That's a good guess. It was not MB. It was kind of just before MB.
So in between, okay, not Stacy, Lorena.
Yep. Lorena
Really?
Ochoa. Yep. And she actually won it 4 straight years from
Whoa.
2006 to 2009. That's the last time anybody's won it 3 straight. And again, Gino won't technically win it for a 3rd straight year this year. She was hurt at the beginning of 2024, as you'll remember, but came very close to winning it 3 straight years with her season this year.
No wonder Lorena retired then. She's like, there's nothing else to
Yeah.
win, guys. Come on.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna switch gears a little bit with this next question. There are only 2 women from last year's season-ending CME top 10, and I think this list is like post CME Tour Championship tournament. That's the one I could find on the LPGA website. But there are only 2 women from last season's season-ending CME top 10 who are again in the top 10 this year. Can you name those 2 women?
Gino.
No, not Gino. Because of
Wait,
the
what?
injury. Yeah, she was not top 10 because of her injury.
Okay, Nelly.
But as I say that, let me just double check. You're right. Gino did because she won the CME. Sorry, there were 3
Right.
women. All right, I'm going to take that back. There are 3 women. Gino is one of them. She jumped up to 4th after the CME.
Okay.
And you said Nelly?
Yeah.
Yep, that's the second. I think those are the 2 easy ones. The third one is a little bit trickier.
Not Minji.
Not Minji. She's
Uh,
Korean. I'll give
Our
you that
our
hint.
dinner partner.
No, it's
Is it
not our dinner
Hoiju?
partner. No, it's not Hoiju.
Okay, I don't know.
It's Se-Young Kim is the only other one.
Hmm, good
So, a
honor.
turnover of 7 names,
Our
from
pro-am partner.
last year's list to this year's top 10, which is pretty surprising.
Wow, that is
Alright,
crazy.
4th question. We're getting in a bit of stats here.
What
I
if
have
what if the rest of them bet then?
Well, yeah, I guess they're all kind of that. I have played the most events this year in 2025. The CME is gonna be my 30th start of the season. Who am I, Cody?
The EY twins.
Ooh, right country, but not the right player.
Oh, um, okay. So Japan, Rio.
Rio. Rio's
Okay,
gonna be the only woman to get to 30 official starts this year on the
that's a
LPGA
lot of
Tour.
golf. It's a
That's a
lot of
lot of golf.
travel.
That's right. It is. It is. Um,
I mean,
okay, here
how many events are there?
Gosh, what I should know this off the top of my head, but I mean, I want to say what, like 34 maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that. I'll count them here as after I ask you the next question. All right, another who am I? I have the most top 10s this year on the LPGA without a win. Do you know who I am?
No, I don't.
Do you have a guess of who I am?
I have no clue because I feel like big that everybody won an event this year.
A lot of women won events. That is
I
right.
don't know. I
She has 9 top 10s and 23 starts going into CME, and she is Haejin Choi of Korea.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Would have not no chance. I would have guessed that.
yeah. Speaking of top 10s, 3 women are tied for the fewest top 10s this season while still qualifying for the CME this week, and they each only had 1 top 10 this year. 2 of the 3, their lone top 10 were wins. 1 only has a top 10 and it's not a win. How many of those 3 women can you name?
Zero of them. I don't know. Maya,
Oh, you're on the right track. The 2 women with only 1 top 10, but it is a victory. They are both Swedish, but neither is Maya.
Ingrid.
Ingrid is 1.
What other Swede won? God, this is a horrible game. Big. I have no clue.
Madeline.
I totally forgot about that. Also, that seems like it was a long time ago. You could have told me
Yeah,
that was in 2024.
yeah, yeah. Madeline and Ingrid, their lone top 10s this year were both victories. And then the one woman who only has 1 top 10 but is in the field, she actually qualifies at number 60, is Thailand's Pajari Ananarukarn. All right, we'll keep moving. Another
This
who
is
am
so
I
much harder
question.
than you told me it was gonna
I
be.
know, it probably is. And I did just count there are 33 events on the calendar this year. That includes the International Crown. So 32 uh, kind of quote unquote regular events. So for Rio to play 30 of the 32 events is really, really something. And she played the International Crown.
Yep.
All right, two questions left here. My Rolex world ranking reached a season worst number 399 in late February of 2025. It currently sits at 112th, the best of the year for me. That 287 spot move is the largest of any player in the CME field this year. Who am I?
February. Yalimi.
Oh, that's a good guess. I think that would have been more like 2024.
Okay. That's the only one I got.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is Brooke Matthews, which
Mm,
goes to show the season that she had and how she really has turned it on throughout the year. Her world ranking has gone up 287 spots.
so good.
Yeah. All right, last question. Gino and Miyu Yamashita each have 2 wins this season, which are the most on the LPGA Tour. There's only one other year in LPGA history where the season wins leader had just 2 wins. Do you know that year?
No, I don't.
It was the COVID year, 2020, when Danielle Kang and Seyoung Kim each had 2 wins, which
Dang.
I think speaks to how crazy this year is. You know, you mentioned a little bit earlier, but just the amount of winners and nobody really winning a lot is pretty crazy.
I was gonna throw out like 98 or something like that. Try to pick one of those rare Annika bad years.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's crazy. Like looking back through history, how dominant the top of the LPGA was in terms of the amount of wins most years. But really, recently, I feel like aside from Nelly's 7 wins last year, it, not nearly as dominant as some of the seasons. Certainly going back through the history.
Well, who do you got this week, Big?
God, it's tough to pick against Gino, honestly. I mean, that's kind of where I'm leaning. I feel like it'd be a very Nelly thing to do to maybe win this week, right? Get her first win of the season, cash the big check. But my official pick is going to be Gino. I know that's a pretty lazy pick, but she plays really well here, and she just is a top 10 machine. Like her floor is I feel like you know eighth, ninth, 10th place.
Yeah, for sure. Just because I like a little bit of spice of life and to see what happens, but I would love to see Miyu just sweeping it. Cool. Rookie, give me that Player of the Year award.
Yeah, that'd be a nice statement for her to make for sure.
I will say this. I know we had a good discussion about the 60 player field for this week, but it does seem to like the cream rises to the top this week. And even, Gino last year, Amy Yang played so good that one year. I think she just whooped everyone's butt. But there's a reason why Lydia Jin Young, Jin Young basically owns this golf course, but they all play
Yeah.
good. And then if you go back and look at people who have like finished runner up, NASA, has done it a couple times, Angel, Nelly and Jess, Lexi, like it's a really good spot to have the season ending tournament at.
It's yeah, I think you're exactly right. We haven't really had a winner that's like out of nowhere, right?
Mm.
And I'd be pretty shocked if we had one this week. It yeah, it seems like it could be Miyu. Honestly, it could be any of those Japanese women. It could be Gino. I'm really curious to see how Lynn, if she kind of keeps playing well. she hasn't had like the best results in her couple years at Tiburon, but gosh, she's got to be flying high with a lot of confidence. So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's going to be a good one. All right, well,
Big.
Cody, yeah,
We
sorry,
got
go
some
ahead.
news, brother. No, let's talk some news, man. There's a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
things shaking out there.
There are. We don't have the full 2026 schedule, but we did get one big nugget, and that was the official announcement that the Chevron Championship is moving officially from Carlton Woods to Memorial Park Golf Course. That's of course where the PGA Tour plays their event each year. Cody, this feels like a massive, massive step forward for this event. Do you agree?
100%. I feel like we've actually talked about this before a couple different times of getting it somewhere. If you want the city to be included and have it available and open to more people, you had to get it out of the Woodlands. The Woodlands has a lot going on. Their marathon weekend was never a good time to schedule a major championship there. I love Memorial Park. It's going to be a couple weeks after the men are there. And I think it should be a lot easier infrastructure wise. I don't know
Yeah.
how they'll do like the, cost sharing or something like that, but they won't have to take too much of the bill down from the men and just kind of change some banners. And we've talked about it at length of having it something joint there where if your Memorial Park, the PGA Tour event ticket is also good for one day at the Chevron or something like that, just to get more people out there and have this feeling. But this golf course is awesome. I think it's going to be a great test for the best women in the game, and it's always in such good shape with very difficult greens. It's such a good short game test that the women are not going to be able to overpower like the men do. It's truly like I'm so excited to go back to Houston again next spring.
Yeah. Listen, the folks up at Carlton Woods, it I'm sure you love your club. That's great. It was not a good viewing experience. Like that course just did not pop at all. And for the first major of the year, for any major, year after year, right? I don't think it ever rose to the occasion of meeting what a major championship venue should be. And so I'm like you. I'm excited for the move to Memorial Park. Like having watched the PGA event there now for a couple years, it's a much more interesting golf course. I think it's going to be a better spectating experience. I think it's going to be a better viewing experience. And I'm excited to see which of the women really can plot their way around there and who kind of excels there, right? It's going to be a new test for all the women. So I'm like you. This was such a massively needed change, and kudos to Chevron and the tournament organizers and new commish Craig Kessler for kind of forcing and making this move. I think it's just wonderful. So
Not only that, but like the fact that Houston Memorial Park literally is like their home of municipal golf in Houston. And the fact that next spring they're going to crown a major championship on that golf course, that any of these other little girls that are out there in PGA Junior League or just getting lessons, it's a cool spot. They got a double-decker driving range and tons of kids out there all the time, that they can see their heroes out there being crowned a major champion on the same golf course that they're like learning at. It's just going to be so cool.
yeah. Yeah. Well said. The other big piece of news that just dropped this morning, and this one candidly has me very excited too. Let me just walk through this. So there's an announcement today that the tour put out. FM, the commercial property insurer who also puts on the FM championship, they have made an investment alongside both TrackMan and the Golf Channel to greatly enhance the broadcast quality of the North American LPGA events for 2026. Cody, let me run through what this announcement, the specific enhancements that they mentioned are going to be. So, first and foremost, every round of every tournament is going to be broadcast live on either Golf Channel or CNBC, two Versant properties. I think this is a big deal One, we can get away from some of the events that were only shown on tape delay. I think that's a good thing. Two, I think the LPGA Tour is trying to work towards a much more consistent, not only broadcast window week to week, but so fans know where this broadcast is going to be, right? It's either going to be on Golf Channel, and it sounds like they're going to utilize CNBC on occasion when there are conflicts with the PGA Tour. But that's the first big benefit. The second that they cite, there's going to be a 50% increase in the number of cameras that the television broadcast utilizes. This is tremendous, right? We How many times have we bemoaned kind of the sparse coverage of a tournament, especially on Thursday and Friday? The third thing they cite is going to be an increase in slow motion cameras as well as more microphones across the golf course just to better be able to pick up sound. And the slow motion cameras are just going to add another element to the broadcast. The fourth thing they cite, an increase in drone cameras to enhance the venues and various shots. The fifth thing, a heightened focus on athlete storytelling with enhanced content and production. I think that's always a good thing. And then, honestly, last but certainly not least, a quadrupling of shot tracing capabilities from the 2025 season, thanks specifically to TrackMan being much more involved in broadcast. Cody, I read this press release and I do feel like this is a lot of the stuff that we've been bemoaning over the last several years, right? Like I think for really the first time, this is the most exciting piece of news that the LPGA week to week, there's going to be real investment in the broadcast. Of course, the proof is going to be in the pudding. We'll see next year. But I've never seen a press release like this that has gotten me this excited about the television viewing product.
No, I'm right there with you. And massive kudos to the LPGA staff, but specifically Craig, man. I remember talking to him this summer after he was announced, and he talked about those four pillars that he wanted to put into place as soon as he got into the seat. And that was, trust with the players and fans, increase visibility, building fans, not just having them watching and having a little bit, but truly like rooting on for the players in the league. And then, stabilizing the LPGA Tour for their financial future. You want to talk about visibility and building fans? This is exactly what needed to change. And
Had
like,
to. Yeah.
I'm so happy that they have a passionate and energetic sponsor in FM who just came on board 2 years ago for a tournament of their own, and, having their second year going and then saying, "We like this so much. We love this product so much. We want to do everything possible with TrackMan, with Golf Channel, with Versant and everybody else to bring that out to the massives." It's huge. It's so big, and I'm just happy that it's finally going to happen. That next year we're not just sitting around wondering and waiting for
And
what is
honestly,
it?
just complaining, right? Just
Yeah.
complaining in the same manner that, and listen, I know we would both feel bad about like how much we would complain, but at the same time, we would always say it's like, I mean, it's right. Like these broadcasts are woefully behind the standard that we see on the men's side, and so I just think this is such, I know I'm repeating myself here, but this is such a needed improvement and such a needed initiative to start elevating the week to week broadcast, right? We get fabulous broadcasts with the US Women's Open. Um, but it sometimes it has felt hard to be a fan of the LPGA Tour, and I think this initiative specifically is meant to like ease that, right? It needs to be fun to be a fan of the LPGA Tour, and I think this hopefully will go a long way. Like I said, the proof will be in the pudding, and we'll see next year. But we just haven't had an announcement like this in a long time with respect to the broadcast. So super exciting.
Yeah, and this obviously is a press release that the LPGA Tour put out. Obviously, all the equities involved in it had a say but I'm very curious to see what this does on the NBC Golf Channel side. Is the crew that we are traditionally used to hearing and seeing going to say the same? Because specifically mentioned in here is a heightened focus on storytelling and walk and talks and things like that. And I would love, I have massive respect for the crew that is there now, but if you have a company that's investing in it and a tour that is saying we desperately want this for growth, there needs to be some things that change on the talent side there as well. And I'm very just excited to see what comes out of it.
Yeah. I mean, uh, just a shot of life, right? With a personality or two. No, not even I don't know if you I mean, I have some thoughts about some specific people. I just think it, much like the broadcast itself, I think that the sounds of it can get a little stale week to week. And so it's a great point how the talent, whether we'll see any changes there, or maybe this allows the talent to really flourish, right? Maybe this puts them all in a better spot to be able to put on a much better broadcast. So, yeah, we will see, but kudos to the tour, kudos to FM, TrackMan, Golf Channel. I know we've bagged on this so much, so I do really want to express how exciting this news was. I cannot wait to see the product next year.
Calendar's going to come out tomorrow. We'll take a probably a week or two to digest it and see what I can't wait to see. Somebody's going to do like the little Google Earth social reel of talking about how long they fly and distances and everything else
Yeah.
like that. We'll wait for that to flush itself out, and then we'll be back around with some season ending thoughts, wrap up our predictions for the year, cover the schedule, and get pumped about 2026.
Sounds good, man. Always enjoy chatting with you. Thank you, everybody, for listening, watching, and enjoy the CME Tour Championship this weekend. And as always, cheers and crack on.